It's Inktober with Afterglow.
Hello and welcome back to Afterglow episode 84, where we'll be discussing Splatterhouse. We're kind of going to go back and forth a little bit between the arcade version along with the original TurboGrafx 16 version. A really interesting game. It's, for its time, one of the goriest games that I remember, at least in the era it came out in. And for this episode, we'll be joined by another guest again. We are joined by Stumbles, otherwise known as Stumbling Steven, from the Secret Levels Discord. I was wanting to get him on an episode. Been trying to talk him into coming on for a while. We finally are going to bring him on for this episode. So I hope you enjoy us checking out Splatterhouse. And we'll be diving right into that after our first music and commercial break.
So, you want to know the story of Splatterhouse, the new horror video game for TurboGrafx 16? They say he stalks the old haunted mansion. They say he's looking for his girlfriend. They say his only weapon against the maggot-eating ghouls who took her is a 2x4. And you say you want to play this game? Splatterhouse. Only for the TurboGrafx 16 system from NEC.
And welcome back. For this episode, I am being joined by Stumbles from the Secret Levels Discord.
Hi.
So I asked Stumbles to play Splatterhouse with me. This is a game from my childhood, but I think, Stumbles, this was like your first experience with it, right?
Not entirely. I remember playing it way back. I think on the Wii.
Okay. Yeah. I think it was on the Virtual Console, right?
Oh yeah, and I also have played some of the other ones, including the remake they came out with for the 360 and PlayStation 3.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the remake quite a bit. I know not very many people did. It got like fair to middling reviews, but I really liked it.
I liked what I played. It's definitely something I want to pick up. Hopefully, sometime in the future, just give it another go.
Yep, I had it. I think I had it for PlayStation 3. I really enjoyed the fact that it had all the old games on it too that you could play.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that or reading about it. I guess that might have been another reason why I wanted to pick it up. Just an excuse to have the games available in some form outside of any other means.
Right, I don't blame you there. So my history, if you listen to the Reviews Brothers Halloween special for this year, 2024, I cover a bit there. But long story short, I was at a pizza place called Piper's Pizza in Oakland City, Indiana. I don't even know if they're still there or not. But they had one arcade machine in there, and that was Splatterhouse. But it was like... it wasn't an original Splatterhouse machine. It was like a solid red machine. The marquee just had black lettering. It had Splatterhouse on it. So someone had taken the PCB and putting it in a different machine. But
so kind of like
Do what?
I was going to ask, or say, so kind of like a custom job.
Yeah, yeah. They more or less just took the main arcade board and put it in like a generic machine, gave it like a quick paint and art job, and that was it. But it was wild because of like how gory it was for the time. It was really like surprising to see that during that era because this would have been, I want to say, late '80s, early '90s.
That feels about right. It was definitely around the time Nintendo was the king of the world at that point.
Yep.
So,
And I
uh,
didn't know this game even came to console because I had never heard of the TurboGrafx. So outside of this pizza place, I had never seen this game or played it again until I got into arcade emulation, and then I actually played through it on there.
yeah, the TurboGrafx was definitely a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not as well known, and I guess in a way, a game like this, because of the violence and just how I guess mature would have been viewed as, it probably didn't get nearly as much coverage as something like Mario or Sonic at the time.
Right, and even the turbo version, it was toned down a little bit from the arcade. Although I don't know
Mhm.
if that was intentional or if that was just the turbo wasn't as powerful. Because while I was looking up info on this game today, I realized that a version came out for the FM Towns, and it was like arcade perfect on the FM Towns.
FM Town. What the hell is an FM Towns? What?
That is a Japanese PC, I believe.
All right.
But yeah, I didn't even
Cool.
know it came out for it. But it was like arcade perfect, more or less.
All right. Did they also uh, did they include the different mask too, or did they keep the original not Jason Voorhees mask?
It did indeed have a white mask in the FM Towns version.
Or do you think we should bring that up real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to go ahead and delve into that real quick.
All right. So anyone who has heard of Splatterhouse, they probably picture, oh hey, it's the game where he plays Jason Voorhees, hockey mask and all. Except it's not Jason, and yeah, from what I understand, when this came to the TurboGraf, I'm guessing they did not want to deal with any potential legal trouble, and they changed it to a generic, like red death mask or something.
Yeah, it was a red mask in the Turbo Graphics. I think they went back to white for the second game on the Sega
Hmm.
Genesis, and then in the third game, it was more of a giant skull-looking mask. So
Hmm.
it's obvious that they were kind of trying to make sure they didn't get sued.
Oh, yeah. I can understand the similarities, but at the end of the day, the Friday the 13th movies don't have the copyright for hockey masks.
Right, and on top of that, you're not. I mean, you kind of are playing a killer, but in this game,
Hmm.
you're a hero character. You're not
Yeah.
playing a villain. You're,
Uh,
going after monsters and killing them.
yeah, you're a good killer. Killing to save your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like a good boy.
So the story is like pretty basic, but still pretty unique for the time.
Hmm.
Although you don't get any of this story unless you actually had the manual for the TurboGrafx 16, because even the arcade version doesn't go into it real deep. But you are invited to this mansion by Dr. West. You guys go there, and you are attacked. Your character is left for your dead while your girlfriend is taken. And depending on which version you're reading, your character is either fully killed or on the brink of death. Whenever this floating mask appears and makes a deal to give you power in order for you to more or less go save your girlfriend, although the mask actually feeds off of you killing all of these monsters in the mansion. So, more or less, you go through this mansion, which I wonder if that Resident Evil kind of calls back to this, as it's another mansion you go through. Although you kind of like leave the mansion at one point, you go to the grounds of the mansion before you re-enter it. I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of what was it, Castlevania, where isn't there like one of the games where you go in the castle and then a later stage you go outside the castle and then another stage you go back in the castle?
I think that might have been Super Castlevania 4.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. Um, but yeah, that's a funny little detail. Like, uh, you know, just pick your pick and choose one or the other. Go inside the Hell Mansion or the Hell front yard.
And you really should have stayed in the mansion because, dear God, the boss that you have to fight to re-enter is insane. The biggie man, he's got the sack over his head like Jason Voorhees
yeah.
with the chainsaw arms.
Okay, say no more. Fuck him.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. The only way that I can come up with to reliably beat him, there's a shotgun at the beginning of the level. You grab that shotgun, but you don't use it. You only use the low
Don't
kick.
let go of it.
Right, you only use a low kick on all the enemies. And then there's a second shotgun right before the boss. And what you want to do is you want to drop the shotgun you have a little bit forward and slowly inch them up until the boss spawns. And then you just want to unload both shotguns on them. That's like the only reliable way I have of beating him without taking damage. Because, dear God, his range is insane.
Oh, I accidentally discovered that when I was playing through it. I had to kind of I didn't have a lot of time to play it, so I had to use save states.
What version did you play?
I think it was the TurboGrafx version. Red Mask. No, very limited weapons throughout the game. I was watching a video covering the history of the series, and I saw that you could get like an axe and stuff. So I figured that that must have been cut from the arcade version to the TurboGrafx version.
The one big cut for me from the TurboGrafx, a lot of people are going to talk about the mask or the religious iconography that was removed in one of the levels.
Yeah.
But the big loss for me is the sound effect it makes whenever you hit someone with a meat cleaver. It makes this like almost the sound of a pin being knocked over by a bowling ball, and that sound was just so addictive in the arcade version.
Well, now I'm gonna have to find a copy of that for my emulator. Unless I have a copy. Was I playing the wrong version this whole time?
The TurboGrafx version is good. It's a fairly faithful version of the arcade version. Maybe a little less gore, and that's... I don't think it's a matter of they wanted less gore in it because it was a console version as much as it was the Turbo just didn't have the capabilities that the arcade version had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, compared to the arcade version, it's definitely a little toned down, but even though I've played this game before, just picking up recently and going through the first stage, just seeing Rick, right? The main character is Rick. Just seeing him like punch the undead creatures, or like hit them with the 2x4 and send them flying into the background, and they just like ooze everywhere and splatter. That is impressive, especially for something. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving it too much credit or what, but that is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's really satisfying as a player to just take... Even there's a section in the first or second level where you go into this like area that's half full of water, and these water creatures come up. It's just so satisfying to nail them with the 2x4 and they splatter up on the wall.
Or another detail, I didn't notice this the first time through, but It's the one with the axe guy, or no, the chainsaw guy. You have these dogs that will attack you, and along with them, there's also these I don't know, like plant creature things that uh, uh, come in and give you hell for whatever reason. And I noticed once you kill the zombie plant whatever, so they leave the remains, and the dogs they'll stop what they're doing and they'll start eating the remains on the ground.
Yeah, it's just little details like that that make this game. The bosses are really cool too. We already touched on Biggie Man, but
Oh,
the first level, which has the giant leeches that come at you.
oh, that was annoying and cool, but annoying and cool.
Well, I like the fact that you don't see this as much from the later bosses, but the early bosses always get like a final attack on you after you beat them. Like there's one final leech they'll burst out.
Yum.
The second
Uh,
level has a poltergeist that's possessing items in the room and will come at you. But after the poltergeist leaves, the
yeah,
chandelier will fall and it can
yeah.
do damage to you.
I believe we call those last minute attacks jump scares.
Yeah, they were really well done. Now, of course, you don't get one of those from Biggie Man.
No, he the whole thing from him is just oh god, fuck die, 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 die. Oh god, he's dead. Is he dead? Okay, he's gone.
And then you've got the fourth level boss, which is the either the head with a bunch of other heads attacking you,
Mhm.
or the inverted cross surrounded by a bunch of heads. And either way, you have to take it out. But then afterwards, after you take it out, it's got this like religious music that plays.
Oh yeah, that eerie like. Can I just have the the rock kind of music or the grunge? Yeah, that I was more comfortable with that. You know, throw a religion in there, and oh, this is eerie.
Yeah, it kind of amplified the discomfort in a way, even though at that moment you're supposed to be as comfortable as you get 'cause you just beat the boss, but it's like, this is really different.
Mm. Uh, yeah, I guess if you want to talk about the sound real quick.
Sure. What do you think of it?
Um, it did the job just fine. There were points where it did feel like it was getting a little repetitive, especially when I was rewinding and trying to redo the same thing over and over because some of the later shit in the game gets just way too hard for my feeble mind to comprehend.
That's where I was going
But
to go with it too. I think that the sound in this game, it's atmospheric, but the tracks are way too short.
yeah, it's got kind of like a not like a. I guess I was going. hmm. It's not your traditional horror. It's more like fun, kind of not fun house, but like uh,
It's a shock factor.
hmm,
At least that's what the game was for me. The game was scary in a shocking way and not scary in a psychological way.
oh yeah, the game just would find ways to catch you off guard, and as well once it like pulls the rug right out from under you, you have to uh, reassess the situation at hand and uh, try to kill whatever new abomination is on screen.
Right. So, what did
Oh,
you think, speaking of abominations, the twist in the game, where you do
oh
find your girlfriend?
yeah. Um, I didn't want to hurt her, but the game made me.
Spoilers for a 30-year-old video game. You do get to your girlfriend, but she does transform into the boss of that level, and you have to beat her and more or less at the end of it, you believe you've killed her. She will like disintegrate in your arms.
In a way, I guess she's in another castle now. uh, One you'll never find.
Well, you do find it if you play Splatterhouse 2.
Oh,
Yep, you spoilers again, but you do if you guys want to check out Splatterhouse 2 and 3. Those two games actually continue the story off this game, so I do recommend playing them as a loose trilogy. 2 plays a lot like this one does, but then 3 turns into almost like a Streets of Rage beat 'em up game.
oh yeah, it gives you not just the front, forward and backwards movement, but up and down and more exploration elements through the mansion, I believe it was. You're going through the same mansion again, right?
No, that's actually supposed to be their house.
Oh,
They have a large house
well,
apparently in the third game.
I guess they just like their big spoopy houses.
But after you beat her, Rick more or less goes on a revenge tour where in the next level he'll take out a giant heart looking thing. And then in the last level, the mansion's burning down, everything's on fire. And you have this cool final boss. I don't know if you got to this guy or not, but the head comes up out of the ground, and you have to smack the head while the arms are coming in off screen to hit you.
I haven't gotten to him yet. I'll probably go back and finish the rest of the game later, but I am familiar with this boss. Actually, like a year ago, I think, or around there, I was looking into doing some beat art, or the beat art where you glue the things together to make sprite work. Yeah, I remember I was trying to do some horror themed creations, and I found a template for Splatterhouse characters from that game, and I pulled this guy's character sheet up, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I need to make this. I haven't, but I need to make it.
I really like the aesthetic of them and the fact that the giant arms come in from off screen. It reminds me of the Shredder fight in Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo.
Are you talking about which Shredder fight?
The one
the
in
last
the one in the Technodrome where it switches back behind him, and he's got the 2 arms that come out from the machine that can grab you.
And you gotta throw the foot ninjas at him to
Right.
hurt him.
Yeah, it reminded me of that one.
So you throw undead creatures at his stupid face?
No, you're just beating up the face. You're not throwing anything at them, but it's the arms that kind of reminded me of it. How the arms are like coming in from like the front of the screen almost.
Oh yeah, like it wasn't like a. All right, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I thought that was really unique, but finally you've got the ending of the game, which ends on a somber note because you've escaped, but you think that your girlfriend's dead. And at this point, there was no Splatterhouse 2, so all the players thought she was dead too.
But you escaped.
You made it, but you're so lonely.
Yeah.
Now, I think in the Turbo... I can't remember if it was the Turbo Graphics or the arcade, but the mask breaks off into a bunch of pieces off his face during the end credits.
I think it was the arcade one. Feels right. I'll let you know when I play through the TurboGrafx one again. Or finish it.
Right on. So, overall, what did you think of it?
I want to say it's an awesome game that I would love to play again and again and again, but man, it's an unforgiving monster. It's hard. It's hard and relentless. I don't know. Maybe I just suck at video games now.
No, it's difficult. Like, I've played it a bit, which is why I can do runs on it now, but I think it's pretty difficult. It's definitely a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. It's good. I love the atmosphere of it, but once you've beaten it, there's not really a lot of replay to it.
Well, no, there is replayability. should you go up the ladder or down the ladder at the very end of the game?
There were a couple spots that had the branching pathways, but I actually did replay and try the different pathways. They all lead to the same boss.
Well, now I have no desire to go down the ladder. I did not like the water sections.
Yeah, there is at least one or two branching pathways, but I mean, I think it's just like one different room, and you always go to the same boss area.
Well, at least to give the sense of branching pathways. And again, it was an arcade game originally, so uh, I guess it would explain why the game is as hard as it is. It was initially designed to steal quarters left and right.
Yep, for me, this is a perfect game to play around Halloween time, and then forget it for a year, and then replay it during the next Halloween time. Like that's about the perfect length of time to wait between replays on this game.
Yeah, that sounds like a fair waiting point. Personally, I don't know. I think I'm just more familiar with the second one. It also helps that one was on the Sega Genesis, so
Right, it had more distribution. It was on a more popular system.
uh, actually, in a way, it's kind of odd. When you were younger, did you get the game on the Sega, the second one?
Honestly, no, not until I got into emulation. I didn't even know the second and third ones existed until I got into emulation.
All right, no, that's fair. I guess I was just thinking, like, anyone who was introduced to the game series through the second one, they thought, "Oh boy, where's the first one? TurboGrafx 16? What the fuck's that?"
Right, if they could even find it. Because, like I said, I had no clue about the TurboGrafx until, like, much, much later. And the sad part is, EGM back in the day, they talked about it, so I don't know if I glossed over it or what, but whenever I read EGM, I was looking for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I completely glossed over all the other systems.
Yeah, it was definitely a. I feel like I said this before already. Um, I guess for me, I just can't think of a whole lot of TurboGrafx 16 games that stand out for me. I like the Bonk series, of course, but beyond that, I know there's really good games. Just nothing that's like come to me.
I think part of it is that the
That,
game library for that system was so small. Like,
uh,
I want to say there's only like under 100 games that came out here in the U.S. for it. But I mean, it's a solid list. Like, I think you've got one of the best libraries that exist for a console.
hmm.
It's just that, once you've played all the good stuff, there's, not a whole lot left to it. But you've got Devil's Crush and Alien Crush Pinball, Blazing Lasers, R-Type, Dragon Spirit, Fantasy Zone. Just, going up and down the list here. There's some definite good stuff. Newtopia, Ease Books 1 and 2, Bloody Wolf, Splatterhouse, of course, Clax, Legendary Axe. I mean, Bomberman, the system is full of good games. It's just that, like I
Absolutely.
said, it didn't sell well.
Yeah, and I have a feeling it was more of a system that tried pushing arcade ports a little bit more than something like the Nintendo did. In a way, the game system itself kind of it makes me think of like the missing link between the Sega Genesis or Sega Mega Drive and the NES.
Right. Now, the cool
Not
thing, though, is that they did come out with a TurboGrafx 16 Mini a couple years back, and Splatterhouse is on it. So if you're looking to play this game and you want to do the TurboGrafx version, that's a fairly cheap way to get it. Plus, like, I want to say that thing has like 30 or 40 other games on it.
you're right about like how many games there are on it. I do have a mini somewhere. I just need to unbox it. Of but I haven't looked at it in a while. But the last time I checked, it is a little more pricier uh, than I.
Yeah, the TurboGrafx Mini is $100 if you want one,
Uh,
or at least that's what I bought mine for. I think that they're like not as active as far as making them now. You might have to get a used one.
oh, let's see how much it is.
While you're looking at that, wow, yeah, the version of Splatterhouse for the TurboGrafx is like $100 right now. So you'd be probably better off getting the Mini, even if it did go
Oh,
up.
well, it's currently unavailable on Amazon.
Um,
Let's check
eBay
eBay.
has a few of them, and you can actually get them for. They did go up a bit. I'm looking at 100, 150.
200?
Yeah, there's some for 200. So it did go up a bit, but keep in mind you're getting looks like 54 games if you get the mini. So that's like
Oh,
pretty well half the library here in the U.S. So
oh,
that would probably be the way to go.
yeah, it's definitely worth picking up if you can find it for a reasonable price.
Of
I
course,
was definitely
if you don't do that, you can also play this through the Splatterhouse game on the 360 and PS3. 360 version looks like you can get it for about 40 or 50 bucks. That's a little high for a used 360 game, but it's not horrible. PS3 goes
yeah,
for a bit more, 70 to 80.
man, if only they would re-release these games in an HD remaster of some kind, you know?
Yeah, and Splatterhouse would be an excellent one to do it too because it's
Oh,
not been made available since that 360 version.
yeah, I mean, I could see limited run games doing something like that. The Splatterhouse Trifecta Edition or something.
Yeah, that
The
would be cool.
Splatterhouse. Yeah, I mean, hell, I'm not a picky guy. They don't even have to remaster it. Just give us the damn game, you know? I mean, not everyone has a PlayStation 3 or 360 laying around.
Right, I would love to see these be made available again.
Hmm.
So, Stumbles, before we get ready to wrap up, is there anything you want to plug or where can you be found at?
I actually don't have anything to plug. I gotta get on that. I mean, outside of like,
I didn't know if you had
you
like a
know?
different podcast you wanted to recommend or anything like that.
Oh, well, there's this podcast called Secret Levels Podcast or Secret Levels something or whatever. They're okay, I guess.
They're alright. Of
Um,
course, myself and Stumbles can both be found on the Secret Levels Discord.
yeah, we talk about stuff. Usually video game stuff.
Sometimes horribly
And
inappropriate stuff.
oh, especially inappropriate stuff.
So be sure to drop by, say hello to Stumbles and myself, and hopefully we'll bring Stumbles back on here again for another episode at some point in the future.
I feel like I stumbled all over my. Oh god.
That's why we love you.
I I swear to God, I feel like I could be so much funnier and or knowledgeable. You just gotta give me another chance.
Oh, you did fine, buddy. I appreciate you coming on, and you'll be back on later.
Oh, cool.
Once again, thank you for joining us for another episode of Afterglow. Be sure to go to the Secret Levels Discord and give Stumble some love. I'm really glad that he came on for an episode, and I would love to see him come back on. So if you're wanting to check out more podcast goodness, check out the show notes where we have a link tree. I've edited the link tree just a little bit, so all of the friends of the show are also now in the link tree in the one link, instead of having a big list of links at the end of every episode. So just go to that one link, and for my stuff, you can check out other places to listen. You can check out our Discord. There is a Patreon, as well as a merch store if you're interested in that kind of stuff. And of course, there are links for all of the friends of the show, including the ones you're about getting ready to hear from right now.
Hello, my name is Aaron. I'm one half of Super Pod Saga, a topical variety video game podcast fueled entirely by nostalgia and unleaded gasoline. Super Pod Saga, we discuss a different video game topic each and every week. We have new episodes every single Monday covering a different video game topic. More than anything, we want to entertain our listeners and make you feel like you're one of the boys, like you're hanging out at a campfire with some of your best zany, caffeine-powered buddies and just talking about your favorite games and all that stuff. Stop on down to Super Pod Saga. It's on every podcatcher there is. If it's not, let me know and we'll get on it. But again, Super Pod Saga, stop on by.
Hey there, Afterglow gang. Keith Gasper here, the host of what I'm told is the #1 retro gaming podcast available on the internet, the Main Quest Podcast. The Main Quest is an ongoing project wherein I'm replaying the entire library of games that I grew up with, sharing my memories associated with those games, and deciding if that bit of media still holds up today. Every episode I am often, but not always, joined by a friend as we discuss the gameplay, presentation, and most importantly, where that game came from, who took part in its inception, and what kind of legacy it left behind, if any. Because honestly, not every game can be Tetris. It's not enough to walk away from each episode having had fun, but hopefully, you also learned something about your favorite video game, or maybe even a game that you've never even heard of. So come on over, have a listen to the extensive backlog of Main Quest Podcast, available of course on all major podcasting platforms, and look out for brand new episodes coming in 2025. And of course, hey, always remember, it's okay to like a video game.
Hello and welcome to the Reviews Brothers. It's me, Martin, and you can join me on YouTube where I have hundreds of videos covering a huge range of video game topics. I've got top 10s, hidden gems, console-focused A to Zs, as well as dedicated videos to topics like Doom mods, 3D platform games, ninja games, pirate games, and more. I cover all systems from Commodore 64 right up to modern consoles. Nothing gaming is off the table. So be sure to search for the Reviews Brothers on YouTube, as well as on Instagram and TikTok for hundreds of retro and modern video game reviews.
For more than 15 years, Retro Gaming Roundup has been the centre of your retro gaming universe, with top 10s, interviews, game reviews, news, and much more from all over the globe. Be sure to tune in every month for a new dose of Retro Gaming Roundup. That's RetroGamingRoundup.com.